welcome to video number 2, where we're going to spend a few minutes together talking about how to construct the scatter plot. I think it's pretty straightforward and obvious to you because we have a scatter plot from the data. That data is in a table form. Study time in minutes is our X, test score and Y is our Y, and we have all those ordered pairs, and all we got to do is make the scale and label our graph so we can put that on there. So it says make a scatter plot of the data and describe the relationship between the data. We're going to get into identifying the outliers, gaps, or clusters. So, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want to recognize is that I have a range of data. So you never know, and when you're doing it on your own as an assignment and practice, you might have a different scale than I do, and that's okay. There's a couple different ways. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the scale of study time. I see my smallest number is 10, and my largest number is 120. So on my X, I got to go all the way to 120. And so I'm going to count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, I have exactly 12, so I can go by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. And of course, the last one, whoops, not 112, would be 120. Alrighty. And then I'm going to look at my Y's test scores, and I can see that it goes, the smallest one being 62, the largest one being 97. So I'm going to go by tens again because I can see that I have plenty of space. So 0, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You're not going to have a test score greater than that. So now we have that. We're going to label study time versus score. And over here we have our score. And on our X we have our study time. This is in minutes. All right, so let's take some time. All we need to do is then go through here and plot these points. Pretty straightforward. 30, 80, 30, 80. Put a point there. 20, 74. Go 20 and up to 74. Obviously, some of these we're kind of estimating. 60, 92. 60 all the way up to 92. And then 90, 97. 90 and up to 97. And 45, 85, so 10, that's 40, 45, all the way to 85, right in there in the middle somewhere. 10, 62, 10 all the way up to 62. We have 30 and 83, and 83 is going to be right there, a little bit higher. And then we have 75, excuse me, 75 and 90, right there on the line. We have 120-minute study with 70 score, and then we have 80 and 91, and that's about right. Oh, it's probably a little high, but it's pretty dang darn close. All right, so we have our points plotted, and we have our scatter plot constructed, and then we can talk about the questions. It says, describe the relationship. And overall, the correlation seems to be that as X increases, in other words, as our amount of study time increases, what is happening to Y? And as you can see, the trend looks like the Y value is going up. So as study time increases, our score increases. The relationship would be a positive linear correlation. Now, there's one thing I want to mention. In these relationships, positive linear, negative linear, that doesn't mean it's good and bad. Obviously, if you study more and you get a better score, that is a good thing. So positive kind of correlates with, hey, that's a good thing. But you just need to know that not all correlations that are positive are good, and not all correlations that are negative are bad. They can be indifferent. They can be anything. Let's take an example like the amount of miles traveled would be my X, and the amount of gas in your gas tank. So as you travel more miles, you have less and less gas in your gas tank. That goes down. That's a negative correlation, but that's neither a positive nor a negative thing. All right, so Identifying any outliers, we certainly have an outlier right here. An outlier on studying 120 minutes for a test and only getting a 70 as a score. That would be an outlier. And any gaps or clusters, I don't really see any gaps or clusters, so no obvious gaps or clusters associated with this graph. And that's pretty much how it's done. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just taking the ordered pairs, plotting them on your graph, and voila, we have ourselves a scatter plot. So that's really the only example. We do have the quick write right here. And my recommendation would be to pause this video in a second. I'll tell you, pause it, and then complete the scatter plot on your own, describe the relationship, and then I'm going to put the answer here. I'm just going to flat put the answer here. So you stop it, you pause it for a few minutes, you complete it on your own, then turn it back on, and voila, the answer will be there. So go ahead and pause right now, come back when you're done, and let's see if you have the correct answer. Alrighty? So I'm sure you're back by now, and of course there you go. The answers are given, describing the relationship, and as the shoe size increases, the mass increases of the men on typical average. So it's a positive linear relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you very much, and I'll talk with you tomorrow.